Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission here is to take stacks of source material and turn those dense pages into pure, concentrated, actionable insight just for you.
That's right.
Today, we're leveraging some really foundational knowledge. The bedrock principles from Stephen Covey's Cranes, the 7 habits of highly effective people.
This is one of those, seminal works that everybody's heard of, but very few people have truly internalized.
Really?
And our goal today isn't just to list the 7 habits, it's to really grasp the logical, the necessary progression they represent.
A progression, I like that.
Yeah, because the framework demands you achieve self-mastery first. That's what Covey calls the private victory. You have to do that before you can ever move successfully into, collaboration and leadership,
Boom.
public victory.
Exactly, like a process, not just some checklist you can tick off. So we're going to walk through this progression, starting with the very first habit. And it immediately tackles this really insidious psychological trap that I think we all fall into.
Oh, absolutely. Focusing on things we can't control. That's habit number 1. Be proactive. It sounds so simple, but the shift it demands is, well, it's seismic.
Let's unpack that. The source material, it gives this perfect picture, the opposite, right? The reactive person.
It does. It uses this analogy of a grandmother who owns a business.
And she's focused entirely on external forces. Everything costs more because of the government, and she's calling people in power uneducated pigs who don't know how to control prices. Just complaining constantly.
And what's really crucial there is the underlying denial. For her, it's not even possible that a concept like, say, inflation or market forces actually exists.
Right. If something goes wrong, it has to be someone else's fault.
Precisely. And that approach, it offers a huge psychological benefit. It's a relief from responsibility. If the problem isn't your fault, well, you don't have to fix it.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the proactive person, who also owns a business, they see those same problems. Bad regulations, maybe customers not appreciating them.
Sure, those things might even be objectively true.
Exactly. But they recognize that focusing on them is completely useless. So they shift their focus entirely to what Covey calls their circle of influence.
Right. So if you're reactive, you waste energy complaining about the weather. That's your circle of concern. If you're proactive, you buy an umbrella.
Simple as that.
It is. So in the business context, the proactive person stops complaining about inflation and asks, how can I improve my product? How can I improve its marketing, its delivery, so that my customers literally can't live without it?
But, that path is exponentially harder.
Oh, it's so much harder.
The source is very clear about this. Choosing to be proactive demands responsibility. It demands dedication, hard work. And the reason most of us default to being reactive is just, well, our brain is lazy. It's effort minimizing by default.
Complaining is always the path of least resistance. Always. Proactivity is a choice. It's the choice to say, I am responsible for my life, and that takes real energy. If you can't commit to that, none of the other habits matter.
Which brings us perfectly to the second foundation of that private victory. Habit number 2. Begin with the end in mind.
The next logical step. Okay, so you've chosen to be responsible for your life. Now what? What does a responsible life even look like for you?
And he introduces this with what might be the most impactful thought experiment in the whole book.
The funeral.
Yeah, the funeral. Imagine you are at your own funeral. You're standing there looking down at the casket, at yourself, and you're hearing what people are saying.
And the question is, what do you want them to be saying?
It forces this instant, almost brutal clarity. We're not talking about your job title or how much money you made. We're talking about character. Contribution. Were you a good spouse? A supportive friend? Did you add genuine value?
And here's the gut check moment this habit forces on you, the listener. Are your current actions, are they aligned with that eulogy you want?
That's the tough part.
It is. If your desired end is to be a loving, stable partner, how does coming home and, instantly being negative or irritable, how does that serve the goal?
Or if you want to be known for adding value, are you actually doing the hard, scary work? Or are you, like the source material says, scared of failure and choose comfortable mediocrity instead?
That gap between who we are now and who we want to be can be terrifying. And that terror is why people avoid this exercise. It forces a readjustment. You can't be proactive about fixing your life if you don't know where you're trying to go.
You have to define the destination before you start driving. And once you've done that, you hit the execution step. Habit 3, put first things first.
This is where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah, this is how you close that massive, painful gap between what we want to be and what we, actually do every day.
Habit 3 is just the practical application of habit 2. I mean, if you know your purpose, how do you manage the present moment?
Right. And when you ask people what their priorities are, their first things, the answers are always so predictable
Mm.
and so wonderful. Health, family, well-being.
Right. Nobody ever says, my top priority in life is organizing old papers.
Or watching 4 hours of reality TV.
Exactly. But here's the horrible disconnect that Covey points out. People spend more time, more energy on those low priority tasks than on the high priority ones that they claim to value.
That's the execution gap.
Hmm.
We're so focused on the urgent things, the emails pinging, the quick errands, the distractions, instead of the important things that require deep focused energy.
And it all connects back to habit 1, that effort minimizing brain. High impact tasks like planning your life or having a really deep conversation with your spouse, they're not urgent, but they take maximum effort.
While organizing papers or scrolling through social media feels productive.
It gives you a little dopamine hit. You check something off a list, even if it's meaningless in the context of your eulogy. So habit 3 forces you to ruthlessly protect your time for the important, non-urgent work.
And once you've done that, once you've achieved that self-mastery, you're proactive, you know your purpose, and you're executing, then and only then are you ready for the world.
You've achieved the private victory. Now you can move into the public victory.
Which takes us to habit 4. Think win-win. This is a radical shift away from seeing the world as a zero-sum game. And frankly, that is incredibly hard to do.
It is so hard. Our society constantly promotes competition. The idea is that for me to win, you have to lose. But win-win is about this belief in abundance, that there's enough success, enough opportunity for everyone.
And that collaboration actually creates more value than competition does. The source gives that great analogy of the two authors.
Right. Both have a massive audience. In the zero-sum mindset, you see the other author as the enemy. You're fighting for the same readers.
But win-win flips the script. Instead of fighting, you collaborate. You read their book, you think it's great, so you share it with your audience of 100,000 people.
Boom! They gain thousands of buyers. And when they see the value you provided, they do the same for you. They read your work, share it with their audience, and suddenly you also gain thousands of buyers.
It's synergy. Everybody wins. The authors win, and the audience wins, because now they have two great ideas instead of one.
And you contrast that with the alternative, creating a little creepy Amazon account just to leave a bad review on your competitor's book.
Us.
That pettiness, that focus on tearing others down, it just drains your energy and it limits your own potential.
And that emphasis on the other person's benefit.
Mm-hmm.
It leads us right into habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Probably the most fundamental habit for all communication, and the one we fail at the most.
Why do we fail so much?
Because we listen autobiographically. We filter everything through our own experiences. We're listening with the intent to reply, not with the intent to actually comprehend.
So it's not just good manners, it's a strategic requirement for win-win.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't truly understand what the other person needs, how can you ever find a solution where you both feel satisfied?
You can't. You'll just push your own solution, and you end up with win-lose. Habit 5 forces you to diagnose before you prescribe. You have to ask questions, you reflect back what you hear. So what I think I'm hearing is that you're feeling frustrated because X happened. Is that right?
And that simple act of deep listening, it builds trust. Only after they feel understood are they willing to listen to you.
And when you combine that deep understanding from Habit 5 with the abundance mindset of win-win from Habit 4, you unlock the ultimate potential. Habit 6, synergize.
Synergy, the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It's not compromise, where 1 + 1 = 1.5. It's creativity, where 1 + 1 = 3 or 4 or 10.
The famous analogy is the tree with 5 apples. 2 people are there, but they're both too short to reach them on their own.
Right.
But if one person sits on the other's shoulders, suddenly they can reach all 5 apples. That's synergy. Realizing that through collaboration, you can gather so many more apples than you ever could alone.
And what's key here is that synergy thrives on difference. If we all thought the same way, we'd never find that better third option.
Absolutely. It requires you to respect other viewpoints, even when you disagree, because their perspective might hold the key. Which brings us to the final habit, the one that holds it all together.
Habit 7. Sharpen the saw.
The habit of continuous self-renewal. Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. It's what makes all the other 6 habits possible.
If you neglect this one, the entire structure you just built it just slowly collapses.
Yeah,
And the defining analogy here is perfect. The man trying to cut down a tree for hours with a dull saw.
right. And his neighbor comes over and says, "Hey, why don't you take a break and sharpen that saw?" And what does he say?
But sharpening the saw is going to take time.
We all laugh at that, but we are that man every single day. We neglect the foundational work because it feels like a delay.
Let's talk about the real-world application here, because this is where the resistance is. It's not really about finding 30 minutes to go to the gym.
No, it's about the fear. The fear that if you take that 30 minutes for yourself, you'll miss an urgent email or you'll fall behind on some project.
So we stop reading books for 15 minutes a day, and our minds stagnate. We neglect our health, and our bodies deteriorate. We choose the short-term feeling of being busy over the long-term reality of being effective.
And then, after neglecting all that foundational work, we have the audacity to ask for little life hacks or tips and tricks on how to be effective.
It's like telling an engineer, don't worry about the foundation, just tell me where we can get the magic bricks that will float in the air.
Exactly. Effectiveness is not about magic bricks. It's about the hard, consistent, time-consuming work of building a solid foundation.
So when we synthesize this entire framework, the path is crystal clear. It starts inside you. You move from just reacting to the world in habit 1 to defining your purpose in habit 2 to actually executing on your priorities in habit 3. That's the private victory.
And with that self-mastery, you can move outward. You can collaborate effectively, looking for mutual gain, understanding others, creating synergy. And you sustain the whole thing by constantly renewing yourself with habit 7.
So the core learning for you, the listener, is that effectiveness is not about a trendy hack. It's about deep, consistent foundation building. And that responsibility is exactly why these habits are so often avoided.
So, as you think about all this, here's a final thought to leave you with. Where in your life right now are you looking for those magic bricks that will float in the air? And what crucial, time-consuming task, what metaphorical sharpening of the saw are you avoiding that would actually make everything else you do significantly easier?
Focus on sharpening that saw, and we'll catch you next time for another deep dive.